I have had 6 stories on Medium earn over $1,000 each. One of them has actually gone on to earn more than $3,000. Nobody asked for this video, but I get enough questions that are around this, like how do you get views on Medium and where does your money come from and things like that, that I wanted to make this video addressing those questions in a kind of roundabout way. So the really neat thing that this will hopefully tell you is the main takeaways I've learned after having 6, well, what I would call viral stories on Medium. These stories, I wrote them all from the heart, but there were some other interesting takeaways I learned that hopefully will be helpful to you as well. All right, let's jump in and see what these stories look like. The first one I want to talk to you about is called The 4 Traits of Extremely Insecure Girlfriends. I published it in PS I Love You. I think it did so well because I was at one point an extremely insecure girlfriend, and I no longer am. So I felt like I came from a real authentic place and people could really resonate with it. I think they clicked on the title because it's clickbait. 4 Traits of Extremely Insecure Girlfriends is something that makes people want to click. But I backed up that promise with actual facts that were from a personal story, right? So a lot of things made this one do well. First of all, it's a story about relationships, and I put it in the relationship publication with a huge pre-existing audience for people who love relationship anything. It's a clickbait title, but also it's written very personally. I think people who either suspect that they might be insecure girlfriends, as well as people who suspect that they have insecure girlfriends, would want to click on this and just see what was what. And I think that curiosity made it do well. On its most popular day, it earned just over $200, 23,000 views for that. But it's earned over $1,000, $1,049 since, and it's got 51,000 views. All right, on to the next one. How I doubled my income with 5 separate income streams. The reason this is such a fun one is because when I write a story, I normally have a feeling if it's going to do viral. It has what I would consider a traditional clickbait viewpoint, and it's in one of what I would consider the bigger publications. Post-Grad Survival Guide, where I published this one, is not a big publication per se. I think it's got maybe 30 or 40,000 followers, a lot, way more than me, but nothing like a lot of publications have over hundreds of thousands of followers. Nevertheless, I wrote this, and it was right at the start of my freelance journey. I remember I was so excited to write it, and I published it, and totally unexpectedly, it did amazingly well. It's got 59,000 views today, but I think the second or third day I published it, it got 16.6 thousand views, earning almost $200 that day, and it was just so unexpected. The neat thing about this one is that it's done that not to quite the same extent, but it did get 2 smaller spikes later on in its lifetime, which have led to correspondingly fairly large chunks of money. So it truly is the gift that keeps on giving. Okay, number 4 on the list is, this is a bit of a mouthful, so bear with me. But here we have the viral math girl from TikTok perfectly encapsulates what it's like to be female online. This is another one that's not a traditional clickbait title. It's my first and I think only current event story to do so well. I saw this happening on Twitter. I wrote it, and I was like, gosh, I really want this to rank. I want it to be the first hit on Google for like viral math girl or viral TikTok girl. And I was one of the first people to write about it. I knocked this out in like maybe 45 minutes. I didn't even wait for a publication. I added it to Better Marketing about a week after the fact, but I published it unpublicated right on the day. It did pretty well. It did nearly 1,000 views on the first day, 3,000 the next, and then hitting 16, 17,000, and earned $250 on that third day. Really incredible. Overall 57,000 views and $1,300. So this one doesn't go on to have any further spikes, but it's done well for me. It's earned me a good chunk of money, which I'm happy with. Third on the list, the psychological trick that lets you subtly influence human behavior. Back at the start of my Medium career, I did a lot of psychological trick this, scientific hack that, and I stopped because I was writing clickbait, and clickbait doesn't do well on Medium. About 6 months ago, I realized, wait a minute, I can write clickbait as long as I actually do what my title promises to do. So click promise, I guess. I don't know, whatever. And so I went back to psychological tricks, and this one did, as you can see, really well. This one, even though it has like a third less of the views than some of the other ones, it's earned more money, and I want to talk about why that is. First of all, it's got a longer read time than the other ones. That might be a factor. But second of all, it had an unusual hump in October. So when I first published it, it was good, but nothing out of the ordinary, the performance, like 500 views on a couple of days. It was only 3 months after it got published that I got a massive spike of views. And those, if you've watched a lot of my videos before, you'll know that my theory is that people who read stuff when it's new, they are the type of people who read a lot on Medium, and hence their views are worth less. If people read your stuff later on in its lifetime, they are more likely to be people who read less, and hence their reads are worth more. This has to do with Medium's payment model. But as it stands, 38,000 views with $1,700 and 3 spikes altogether over its lifetime. 2 very small, 1 very large, published in Mind Cafe. Number 2, we are getting close to the top. So normally I try to stay away from the number 7 in my listicle because I feel like the one guy who wrote 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, I'm never going to write anything better than that, so I don't even want to try to compare myself to him. But for this one, I did. I was like, I had more than 6, and I didn't have enough for 8, so I was like, whatever, caution to the winds. 7 it is. And I wrote it, and it did a similar thing. It did well the first few days it was published, but the real spike came a couple months after it was published in October, and then another smaller one in November. This one was published in Mind Cafe. It has 51,000 views and has earned me $1,700. The neat thing about this that I want to show you is that now it's beginning to get most of its views from Google. So you can see the blue is the external bar, the external traffic, and we can see that Google is the top external referrer here. So I had a quick look. Check this out. Toxic friends. If you just Google toxic friends, look at this. This is my story that I published on the front page of Medium Google search results for toxic friends. That was such a fun experiment for me. I did not think I'd be able to rank for toxic friends on Google, but here we are, $1,700 later. And at last, the moment you've all been waiting for, my number 1 most viral ever story on Medium. This was the first story I wrote in what I consider my second era on Medium, where things I wrote could and regularly do go viral. This was the first one, and it's to date the most viral one I've ever had. It was also kind of the first one that I realized I could try clickbait. I wrote this like mid-May, and as you can see, it got a huge spike, 44,000 views in a single day, earning me over $400. It's a little bit like my white whale. I'm always hoping that I will find it somehow again. I haven't yet, but any day now, I know I'm gonna get a story that takes off like this one did. 172,000 views, $3,800, and I wrote this mostly out of spite. I kept seeing these like popular on Medium stories that were just listicles, and I was like, I should just write one. I'll just see what happens. And this is what happened. So yeah, really happy with that. Okay, so now you've seen my 6 stories. I want to talk to you about what I've learned from them. The first thing I've learned is that publications matter a lot. It's not about the biggest publication. It's about getting the right story into the right publication. Stories that are listicles about people, I have found, do really, really well in Mind Cafe. Stories about relationships do very well in P.S. I Love You. Stories about earning money do really well in the Postgrad Survival Guide, for me. It's not enough to just try to aim for publications that have 200,000 followers. You have to write something that those 200,000 followers are going to be interested in, and that's the only way to leverage that huge audience that you have access to. I only have 16,000 followers on Medium, which is a lot. It's a good number, but by putting them in publications like this, I give myself a lot more leverage and a lot more room to grow. It's always possible that something like The Viral Math Girl wasn't in a publication and took off just on its own, but you might as well give your story a sporting chance and put it in a publication that's right for it. The second thing I've learned, clickbait is okay. You just have to back up your promises. You'll see most of these on here are verging on clickbait. They're stories that are listicles, that are psychological tricks and hacks and what have you. That kind of thing works well to get people to click, but the way Medium's algorithm recommendation works, you have to get people who click and then stay on to read. And the better you can do that, the higher your chances are of going viral. So it's not enough to write the title, but the title mattered way more than I ever thought it did. And the third lesson is that you never know when something's going to take off. You can write something and 4 months later wake up and find your stats taking off, and you have to scroll through and find out, like, where is this coming from? Where is this huge surge of views coming from? And every month, you never know. That could happen to you. That could happen to one of your stories. So that's what I want to close with on this video is I hope you wake up tomorrow. I hope I wake up tomorrow. I hope we all wake up tomorrow and find that one of our stories has gone viral on Medium, earning us potentially thousands of dollars and just being an incredible experience. This has been super fun to film. Like I said, nobody really asked for this, but if you've clicked on it, hopefully you enjoyed it anyway. If you've got any questions, post them in the comments and let me know what you thought of this. Do you have any viral stories yourself? What characteristics do you think helped it take off? And yeah, let me know. All right, happy writing, everyone. Bye.